So in your journal, we're going to start, and if you haven't taken these in, it's okay, but we're going to take notes on one side. In fact, if you want to go this way, it might be better. Notes here, and then take your circles in on the other side. So we'll start with our notes. It's unit circle. It'll be day 1. We're going to talk about it again tomorrow. We're going to start really basic. So think about degrees. We're going to talk about circles in 2 ways. Degrees and in radians. How many degrees are in a circle? 360. Okay, excellent. And we're going to start off with, in our finished product, no intention on scaring you, but you have a unit circle, and our finished product is going to look like this. Okay. Yes. It has 87 pieces of information, basically. And you can fill it all out from memory in about under 8 minutes. Last year, my kids did it as a major grade, and probably 95% of them made 100. It's fun. It just looks a little overwhelming to begin with, but we'll get to where it's easy. So I want to show you, first of all, if we're talking about degrees and radians. Okay, and you have a lot of these on your paper, right? Okay, so if we take this unit circle and we're going to turn it this way for me. And I'm going to break this up and show you, the way I think about it is a bus route. Okay, I don't know, you can look at it however you want, but it's a bus route. And you are going to go around, your bus route happens to be a circle. Okay, and everywhere you see a stop is a stop on the bus. And every time you see a stop on this unit circle, they actually are going to call that stop by 3 different names. And we usually it would be like a street. Oh, I live on Timberland, or I live on Carrier, or Winter Way, or whatever, right? Okay, but we're going to go and we're going to call this each spot, we're going to name it with a degree, which is easy, right? We know there's 360 degrees in a circle. We're going to name it with something a little more special we haven't heard much of. It's called a radian. And then our last but not least, we're going to name it with a point. Okay? 3 different things. It's called the unit circle because, guys, in the unit circle, and I'll use this because you can see it on the view. When you make a unit circle, we use a coordinate grid. I know it's beautiful, isn't it? We use a coordinate grid. Okay? And the measure right here is 1. It's a unit, 1 unit. So the radius of our circle is 1. And that's why it's called that. Right? Now, back to my better circles. Thank you very much. We're going to talk about each bus stop, right? And we're going to name it with a degree. We'll start very simple. If I take my picture and I break my first picture down into 4s. Okay? And if we travel on our circle, this would be 0 degrees. What would you think this is going to be called? Right, so it's a right angle, perfect, 90 degrees. Okay, you keep traveling this way, and what do you think this one is? 180. Excellent. Okay, and what are 3 90s? Or in other words, 180 and 90 more makes how much? This is kind of a harder one. 270. Because, look, 180 and 100 more is 280. So 180 and 90 more would be 270. All right, so you've now got 4 pieces of your 87. We only have 83 to go. Okay, so now you got your 90s marked, the easy ones. I'm going to go to the next circle. We're going to break it up. And this time, we're going to talk about, go this way again. Okay, and we know 90. I'm trying to show you this to break it down and make you see it. It'll be much easier. And I know that this bus stop is 0. I know that this stop is 90. This stop is 180. Okay, and so forth. You'll notice there are 3 stops between 0 and 90, right? 3 points. Right now, we're going to deal with the point in the middle. And you'll watch. There's 3 points here. There's 3 points here. There's a huge pattern. There's patterns everywhere in the unit circle. Look, 3 points here, 3 here, 3 here, 3 here. You see that they're everywhere? So I'm right now just going to deal with these two. Now, glance at this. If this was 90 and I cut it right in half, I bisected it, right? And that's called. Then it's a what angle? 45. You follow with me again so you can see, so you can understand. Watch. Here to here, they can call this stop a 45-degree angle. I travel 45 more and I got to, we already called it, but 45 and 45 makes 90. I travel 45 more, excellent, and I'm at 135. And I travel 45 more and I'm at 180. And you can continue all the way around the unit circle that way, but from time, I'm just trying to show you the pattern, okay? Right, now let's move to the next one, right? We've got lots of stops now, don't we? Now we've got 0, 45, 90, 135, we've got 5 different points. But we're missing the little ones. So we'll go down here and let's deal with those. Okay. Yeah, please. I'm sorry. I was looking up. Sorry. Okay, if I take that 90, okay, watch for a second. We know this mark is 45. We know that from here. From here to here is 45 degrees, correct? So when I get to this problem here, and I'm looking at this, I know from here to here is 45. I'm not worried about that right now. I'm going to show you a different pattern. I already know that line is a 45-degree angle. What I'm trying to show you now is these two marks here, this pattern, okay? So let me show you. Okay, what do you think? If that's 90, and I'm breaking 90 into 3 sections, what do you think these stops are going to be called? This would be a 30-degree angle, right? From here to here is 30 degrees. From here to here would be a 60-degree angle, and then a 90. Are you seeing it? Okay, go this way then. Let's finish up. 30 more would be 120. I'm going to skip the one in the middle. I already know that one. It's a 135. Then I'm going to go to here to 155. You've now finished the entire picture with a pattern.
Wouldn't it be 150?
It's 150. I was just checking to see if you guys paid attention. Just kidding. You guys know something. Alright, now, what you're going to do is take what you've learned, and I'll show you a really cool trick. Take this fresh unit circle, and erase the zero so that happens. A fresh unit circle, and let's label what we've learned. Alright, we're only going to do quadrant 1 right now. For time. Or quadrant 1 and 2. Top half. Got that part? Do this and then watch me for a second. Okay. What is my first stop? We wrote it way down here. A little stop was how much? 30. Okay. So I know this is 30. Give me a second and I'll show you a pattern. Look at this circle here. What was our middle stop? 45. Excellent. Okay, look at the bottom picture. What was the third dot? A 60. Are y'all seeing that? Okay. And then obviously the top is a 90. That's the pattern of exactly right. Okay, now keep going because I want you to do the top. Here, we labeled it already. Okay, but before I keep going with the patterns, let me show you something that's cool. You could either know what dot is which, or watch this cool trick. Okay? I realized that this was 30 degrees. We talked about that, right? And that this measure is a 45-degree angle, right? But a really cool trick is that you'll look, a wide section is 30 degrees and a little section is 15 degrees. And it works around the entire unit circle. Okay, watch and share with me. That will give me 30, add 15 to get 45. Add 15 to get 60. Add 30 to get 90. Do y'all see it? Add 30 to get 120. Add 15 to get 135. Add 15. Y'all see what I'm talking about? Okay, I'm going to erase this and fill it in. So glad it's working. Okay, so this is a wide section, so we're going to call this 120. Skinny, I add 15, which is 135. Another skinny, 15 more, so 135, 145, 150. Guys, wake up. Come on, I need y'all here. We have to learn this in 2 days, all of it. Okay, so now 150 is going to jump. 30 more is 180. Okay, continue. Finish the second half with the exact same rules. I'll give you about 2 minutes. It shouldn't take you longer than that. Finish filling it in. So here's the problem with talking about a unit circle. We have now, I told you there's 3 ways to call every single spot. So every spot that you just labeled, the 30, the 45, the 60, the 90, that's all their degrees. They also use a radian to describe it, and that's what we're going to use today. Right, we're going to finish with that today. Let me talk about what a radian is. Okay, a radian is the distance around a circle. I know I'm getting there. I heard someone just say, wait a minute, that's the circumference. And yes, you're right. It's kind of like the circumference. So what I mean by that is watch. If I told you that this first stop is 30 degrees, we got that because we knew that from here to here is 30 degrees, correct? Well, what they do is they also ask you, instead of how far of an angle am I going, they actually want to know physically how far would my bus drive. Okay, in other words, they want to name it not because I raised my angle 30 degrees, but the actual distance from here to here. That's the other way to name it, okay? So it just depends on where they're using the unit circle. It's hard to use an angle if you're an airplane, okay? It just depends on what you're doing with it. On here, then we're going to talk about how to get that pink value, right? This value from here to here. And if you have a circle, we decided was circumference. What's the formula for circumference of a circle? 2 pi r. That's right, 2 pi r. All right, excellent. What's the radius of the unit circle? We already talked about what radius do we use when we have the unit circle? 1. Remember? That's what the unit circle means, a unit of 1, right? So the radius is 1. So I substitute that in. And that means the circumference is 2 times pi times 1, which is just 2 pi. About 6.28. But you know what? They want to be all fancy. They want to keep the pies. Because isn't 6.28 a estimation, right? So they don't let you estimate. They leave the pi there. It's easier. So the distance around is 2 pi. What that means is with your unit circle that you have, guys, if you took a pencil or you took a bus and you traveled from the start all the way around your unit circle, you would travel, they call them radians, 2 pi radians. It's the distance around the unit circle, 2 pi. Right, easy enough, 6.28. You've used circumference forever. Okay, so my problem though is every single stop has a part of the pi, correct? The easy stop would be from here to here, right? That's pi. If from all the way around is 2 pi, what's halfway around? Pi. Well, that's great, but I have like 15 other dots to label. Do you see where I'm coming from with that? So let's look at what they are. So let's talk about some radians for just a second. Do you have 2 circles left? It's alright. We can just write them on here then. You can either use your circles or you can use your notes. Right. If we have a circle, and we already decided that all the way around is 2 pi, so this would be 0 radians. And so I'm going to, just like we did earlier, we kind of ignored the bottom half for a little while. You can do it on your circle or you can do it on my paper. We're going to do 3. We're going to need 3 circles. Okay, so this kind of depends. I guess you might be. So you have 4. Okay. If all the way around is from 0 to 2 pi radians, you're going to get, I wrote a degree, I should have. We're done with degrees. 0 to 2 pi. Halfway around, I'm going to travel just from here to here. How far would that be? Pi. Okay, now this is really important. I'm going to ignore everything else, and let's use a little bit of reasoning skills here. From here to here is pi. What's this one going to be called? Half of pi. What's another way to write it so we don't have to have a fraction? Like 1/2 and then pi. What's a better way? Or pi over 2. Let's just keep it like that. Right? Half pi is the same as pi divided by 2. You all agree? So we're going to call that pi over 2. Now, what that means is this. That means that if you were going to travel from here to here, your circumference that you would travel, the distance you would travel, they call them radians, is pi over 2. In other words, like about, from here to here would be 3.14, right? So this is like 1.5-ish. Does that make sense? Being in miles, inches, centimeters, whatever you want to use. Okay, but now we have to label the rest of them. Because there's a lot more dots. A lot more stops. I'm going to put all 3 there. If you would rather use the circle, you can. If you want to use this. Might be easier for you to see in this. We're going to ignore this. If you want more circles, then do that. We ignore the bottom. We already decided this is 0 radians and this is pi radians. And just like we broke it into pieces, right, we went to the middle first, we're going to do the middles again. We're going to go the same route we did the degrees. Okay, and we're only looking at this. This is from 0 all the way to pi. That's the distance around, the circumference. So if I want to stop at each of these spots, how many stops would my bus make? 1 section, 2 sections, 3 sections, 4 sections, right? So this would be considered how much of pi. If I ate this piece, how much of it would I eat? Pi divided by 1/4 of a pi, right? Pi divided by 4. Now if I stopped here, 1/4 pi, what do we call this? 2 pi out of 4, right? 1 pi out of 4, 2 pi out of 4. What would this one be called? 3 pieces out of 4, right? And we could call this 4 pi out of 4. Bless you. What do you notice about 2 of these? This one and this one do what? They reduce, they simplify. This becomes pi over 2, which is what we called earlier, didn't we? And this one becomes pi, which is what we called it earlier. Same name, right? So let me show you something. Listen, look up here again. If I go from 0 to here, I can call this 45 degrees, or I can call it pi over 4. If I keep going, I can call this stop 90 degrees. Or I can say, okay, the blue line I traveled was half of pi. If I keep going, now I want to know how long my blue line is. I've traveled 180 degrees, or how many radians? 4 out of 4 pi, or just pi. Okay? We're getting closer. We're almost done. Well, remember we broke it into fourths, right? That was the middle dots, but we still have those little dots, correct? These other stops, these. So the next circle, let's deal with those. If you need another unit circle, a little circle, there's plenty back here. You can come grab one. Okay, here we go. Our last stop. I guess I should give you a whole sheet of them. We're only going to deal with the top for now again, because it's just faster. I'm just trying to show you a pattern. We're going to go from 0 to pi, and this time, guys, I'm stopping what we call the 30s, right? The 30-degree marks. I've got a pi. How many sections of a pi are there? Count them up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 sections. Agree? All right, let's name them. Here we go. So if I took this section, I would have 1 pi out of 6, right? 1/6 pi. If I took the next section, how many would I have? 2 pi out of 6. 3 pi out of 6. 4 out of 6, and 5 out of 6. And then back to 6 out of 6, which is just the whole thing. Are there any that can be reduced? Okay. You're more than welcome now to look through and reduce the ones that need to be reduced. This is the same thing as pi over 3. Same thing as pi over 2, which we already knew that. And this reduces 2 fits into both, so 2 pi out of 3. Got it? Okay. When you walked in the room, you got a unit circle.
Is this a 5 pi out of 6?
Mm-hmm. Did you get one of these? Okay. Let's see if we can fill it in. I realize every stop has how many names? 3, but we've only studied 2, right? The degrees are the easiest, so why don't we start with the radians? All right, start with the radians. We counted by 2 different things. Watch me for a second. We counted by fourths. And what else do we count by? 6. Okay. Now, no matter what, when you count by fourths and sixes, you have to count the axis every time. If you don't, you're going to miss it. because even though it's labeled already, it's still part of the pie. Just remember how it would be named and it's named reduced the same. You have to do the same thing. I'll show you. Yeah, it's confusing. So let me show you what we're going to do. All right, the inside circle has degrees, so we're going to start on the outside. So this is 0 radians, and we're going to count by fourths first. Okay, first of all, just take your finger for me, don't use a pen, and let's see if you can even stop on the fourths. Just look at me. Fourths would be 1/4 pi, 2/4 pi, always stop on the axis. In the middle, 3/4 pi is the 45s, right? 4/4 pi, 5/4, 6/4, 7/4, 8/4. Do you need to do it around one more time? Did you see where I stopped? I stopped on the 45s. Okay, so we're done. Now then what are we going to count by? Yeah, the 30 marks, the sixths. Okay? So the 30 marks would be here. Those are sixths. Right? Remember when we built them? We gave us 6 pieces. So 1/6, 2 pi out of 6. Okay, this is where kids get messed up. Where did they forget to stop? You have to stop here. 3 pi out of 6, 4 pi out of 6, 5 pi out of 6. You have to stop here. 6 pi out of 6, 7 pi out of 6, 7 pi out of 6, 8 pi out of 6, 9, 10, 11, and 12. The 30s. Okay, and always stop on the axis or you'll skip it and it won't add up, right? Okay, ready? Here we go. Let's try it. We're going to do the 45s first. Pi out of 4, 1/4 pi. 2/4 pi. I'm going to come back later and reduce. So 2 pi out of 4. 2 pi out of 4. Stopping on the 45s. 3 pi. 4 pi out of 4. Stop on the 45s. 5 pi out of 4. 6 pi. 7 pi. And back to 8 pi out of 4, which is also called 2 pi. It's called 0 and 2 pi. We're going to come back in a minute and reduce later, okay? Give you a second to finish. Now let's count by what? 6. Oh, I see it. Thank you. And now let's count by 6, and that's all the 30 marks, right? So we're going to be pi out of 6, 1 pi out of 6, 2 pi's out of 6. Where do we always stop? On the axis. It's already labeled, so you don't have to write anything, but you got to name it. 3 pi out of 6. You don't have to write anything down though. Now jump to here. 4 pi out of 6. Make a jump. 5 pi out of 6. You have to name the axis or you'll lose count. 6 out of 6. 7 out of 6. Make a jump. 8 out of 6. I'm at the axis again, I've got to count it. 9 out of 6. It's already labeled, but I still need to count it. 10 out of 6. And 11 out of 6. And lastly, 12 out of 6, which is already labeled 2 pi. Now, I'm going to go in with a different color, I guess, and reduce them. I'll use this pen. Okay, this is the same as pi out of 3. This is pi out of 2. And you can erase your pencil if you want, but for right now, let's just do this. So you have it in your notes. 2 pi out of 3. This is just pi. Where else can I get? Here. You're just halving them. 4 out of 3. 3 pi out of 2. 5 pi out of 2. You just half everything. And you can use an eraser. Okay, I just changed that. That should be 5 pi out of 3, not 2. Right here. Okay. You filled in the unit circle, right? Now go through really quickly and do your degrees. You see the tiny little degree marks? If I were you, I'd use another color. I think I'll just use yellow. Okay, and fill in your degrees. A big jump is 30, a little jump is 15. So 0, 30, and so forth. Okay, so you should be at 0, 30, 45, 60, and 90. So now you're at 120, 135, 150, and 180. Big jumps are 30, little jumps are 15. Keep going. Now you're going to add 30. So you have 210, 225, 240, and 270. 300, 315, and 330 back to 360. You got it? Okay, now this is your challenge. You're going to flip it over, okay, and see if you can fill in the degrees and radians.